a few of our students have gone on in the past. It's a fashion summer session in Lyon, France. And Lyon is in the middle part of France, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Paris. And I think Margaret was at this conference that I went to, and Susan was at it also, so we can attest to the fact that it's a really nice city, and the facilities are very nice where you would be partaking in some of these study sessions. Anyway, it lasts 3 weeks. It's June 20th to July 9th, and it is one of the best bargains in international education, because you're not going through a provider that's adding a lot of cost to what they're charging you. So if you are going on your own, it's 2,100 euros, which right now the euro is way down compared to what it was years ago. So that's really, it's like maybe $2,300, plus you need your airfare, but this covers the cost of the session plus housing for 3 weeks and all these tours that you take around. Then if 2 or more students go, 2 to 5, it drops down in price. If more than 5 go, it's only 1,900 euros. And I know that 2 students, maybe 3 students are seriously thinking about it at this point. I also asked them, if we send a group of students over there on the same plane, would they come and show you how to get to the train? And they said, yes, they would do that. So does anybody want a flyer? Question more about this. It's in the Beaujolais wine country. There are sunflower fields around here, lavender fields. If you bring home the certificate, you'll get 3 credits of TMD free access. That means no And if you know of other students that might be interested in something like this, you could let them know exactly how to get some flyers. You have? Are we ready to start?
I've started, but you started talking.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about an exhibition that is currently at the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. And it's up through March 6th, so if anybody's really interested in seeing this, you can go up there, but it is traveling to other parts of the U.S. as well. It's going to be in New York. I'm not sure what facility, but it goes to the Pacific Northwest and then down to Oklahoma, which is an area where there are concentrations of Native Americans. So, this was put on by the curator, not of fashion, but of Native American and oceanic art and culture. So it's kind of interesting that she picked up on the fashion impulse that is going on in Native American cultures at this point. And I have a little video that I'll show you about how she got started in this. But in going through this exhibition, you need to know a little bit about Native American culture, what has happened to Native Americans since the arrival of the Europeans in America. How many of you have taken an anthropology class that has looked at something like this? Only 2 people? More people? Okay, so let's just think about where there are concentrations of Native Americans where we might see some work being produced in this exhibition. So you raised your hand. So where do Native Americans reside at this point? Pardon?
There's tribes in Rhode Island.
There are tribes in Rhode Island. Yes, there are. They're mostly in Charleston. There are some in Connecticut. They live on reservation in Connecticut. Where else in the US? So we know our immediate area, but what about elsewhere?
I know there's
Travel?
some in upstate New York.
Yes, Iroquois are in upstate New York.
Cherokee, North Carolina.
Cherokee in North Carolina. There's Seminole in Florida. Arizona, many in Arizona. The Navajo and the Hopi are in Arizona and parts of New Mexico. Where else?
In the Dakotas?
In the Dakotas, some of the poorest reservations in the United States. Pine Ridge, they have from like 80% unemployment. There's some in upstate Minnesota, Chippewa. Northern Washington State and into Canada, there are Northwest Coast tribes. Anybody else you can think of? You're nodding. Okay, well, I mean, it's interesting with this exhibition that she got really great representation from across lots of different areas in North America. So I'm going to take you through this exhibition. I took photos with my iPhone. I have to say I'm very impressed with the iPhone and the photos because I can zoom in and read label text and so on. So she broke it out into 4 different themes. So that's how we're going to be going through. There are 4 different galleries plus another kind of entryway to the exhibition and a kind of midway thing that allowed children mostly to interact with textiles and give them the textile handshake and try on a few fabrics and look at some books and so on. So that was all part of this as well. So in looking at what's going on in Native American fashion these days, the curator broke it into pathbreakers. So these would be people who are designing with Native fashion traditions, but they have a new vision of what they are. So it's not feather headdresses and buckskin shirts and things, not that. Then revisitors, these are designers who refresh, renew, and expand on traditions. So they're using things that we know about as Native traditions, but giving a new view to them. Included will be some designers who aren't Native American, but are borrowing some Native American designs. You can see what you think about that. Then some activators who are pulling together streetwear looks with their own personal style that has a message with it. And then some very innovative conceptual experiments that she's categorizing as provocateurs. Okay. So how many of you are fans of Project Runway? So you know, in 2013, a Native American designer got to the last few, right? Okay, so she's featured, this woman, Patricia Michaels. She's from Taos, New Mexico. Taos Pueblo, beautiful place if you've ever been there. It has a very, very old pueblo and is quite a tourist area as well. Anyway, 2013 she was on Project Runway. And there was a challenge where she was asked to, where the contestants were asked to do a cityscape. So she used leather and painted on leather and drew kind of a New York skyline in there, but they end up looking kind of like birds. So she's trying to bring in the balance that there is in Native American life and thinking. So she's hand painting part of it, but machine sewing other aspects of it. Her models always carry umbrellas, so the room was filled with these kind of light, airy umbrellas. And there was, oops, there was a little fashion show type of thing on a screen that was going on in the background. So that's the opening. Okay, this, you can just take a look at this, what she's conceiving of as the path breakers. They dare to dream, clothing is their language. They are participating fully in the fashion system. They're not just staying in a local area and showing, but showing in New York, collaborating with New York designers. This room was pink. Okay, so the first designer that I looked at when I went in there, because this is a circular gallery with central mannequins on platforms and so on, was this designer who's no longer around. He's Lloyd Kiva New was his name, and he was Cherokee. The label that he designed under was Kiva, and he's considered the father of contemporary Native American fashion. If you look at these dresses, you can probably figure out, those of you who've been at 240, you can kind of roundabout date these. Yes? Tight waist, full skirt. Pardon? Good. After that. 1950s. So this is early for recognition of Native American labor. He sold to Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus. So he had it wasn't just because he was Native, but because he was participating in the full fashion system. And he liked to do cottons and silks that were hand painted or otherwise silk screened with the kinds of designs that reference what we think of as Native American landscapes with herds of horses and these kind of glowing purples and oranges and so on that remind us of the Grand Canyon, places like that. So these apparently sold very well. And then there's a more recent example, 2014, a Cree designer, Derek, I'm not going to say the last name. Right, he's using Cree language syllabics in a piece of fabric that's used as the waist of this dress that has some fringe on the hem. And this Cree language is still spoken by some Canadian Cree. And so this is a reference to the heritage in this particular dress. And this designer, Virgil Ortiz, he was shown, if you've been to Santa Fe, some of us have been to Santa Fe in this room, but any students gone to Santa Fe? Pretty fabulous place, and there are periods of time during the year that are known as the Santa Fe Market. This attracts a lot of designers. In fact, this is how Karen Kramer went to, got this idea by going to the Santa Fe Market and seeing all these things that were going on there. But Donna Karan, we know who she is, American designer. She was out there and met this man, Virgil Ortiz, and liked the kinds of work that he was doing with his graphics and asked him to do some fabrics for her. So he designed the graphics that went on the fabrics that she put on these skirts. So it's a collaboration. 2003, but we could wear it today. Okay, now this one is quite unusual. These were Mylar fabrics from this past year. She's an Osage Indian who uses Mylar because it represents the sky world, and when you move in it, it has a kind of auditory sound that references ancestors and creation stories. Then, this is an interesting one to me, because we have a large collection of scarves that were designed by Frankie Welch. it turns out she's Cherokee. I didn't know that for all these years that we've had these items in our collection. She was active in Alexandria, Virginia from the 1960s through the 1980s. And I think it was Dr. Helms, who's in the back there, who first connected Frankie with us. Is that right? Right. When you were on sabbatical at the Consumer Product Safety Commission? Yes. Okay, so this dress was worn by Betty Ford, who was the first lady at the time. You know, Vice President Ford became the president, and this was a good Christmas, White House Christmas party dress because it's red. And there was a picture of Mrs. Ford in this outfit at the Christmas party. But apparently the thing that she did that was really, really famous was this Cherokee alphabet scarf. Miss Dean Rusk's wife asked Frankie to do a scarf that could be a presidential gift when they go around and needed a gift to go to at different ceremonies or visits, state visits, whatever. So she did the Cherokee alphabet because it was American. She was supposed to come up with some kind of American design. And here we see the Cherokee alphabet scarf there. And we have it here. This is our version of it right here. Plus she did some other ones because Honor Rose found, how many altogether?
6.
6 scarves that included the Cherokee alphabet. So she was quite successful at that, and lots of people liked to buy it. Again, in the Path Breakers, there is from Vancouver, Canada, a dress called the Eagle Gala dress from 2013. It has the deep V in the front that so many designs do these days, but the fabric on the lower part is referencing Northwest Coast Indian designs with eagles. And then the she-wolf tuxedo is over on the other side. I can't tell, it didn't say whether this was male or female. It looks kind of too bulky to be female, so I'm not sure what the message behind this one was. Anyway, she's a Haida. The Haida do some really beautiful capes with these big designs on them, the big eagle designs on them. And then there were a lot of jewelry designers. Unfortunately, my photos weren't so great of the jewelry because it's through plexiglass. But this particular Hopi Indian, Charles Loma, I've heard of him, is very well known for his non-native looking jewelry. Because we see traditional Navajo jewelry, Hopi jewelry, uses a lot of turquoise, a lot of silver. Dr. Helms is wearing her squash blossom necklace today, so that it's very collectible also. But he uses chunks of wood and some turquoise in there and some other less expected stones for these big chunky cuffs. And this one happens to be from 1975, which is fairly early for these. So he is well regarded for the jewelry that he designed during his period of fame. Okay, so that's the Path Breakers. Now we go to the Revisitors. So this is the label with the Revisitors. The tradition doesn't change, but fashions change. And so these designs that we see in here will be refreshed, and they'll expand on traditional ideas about Native American design. But I'm pointing out that it's not without controversy because some non-natives are using the symbolism that was developed in native cultures. If you had TMD 224, what do you call this? Do you remember? Cultural appropriation, does that sound familiar? Okay, so there'll be a few designers who borrow. One is borrowing pretty heavily, but interesting to see what they have. Okay, so this is a native designer. They're mixed together in this gallery. This is Dallin Mady and Laura Shepard worked together on this, and it's a corset and skirt. We know that these kinds of designs were very popular in mainstream fashion about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So this corset is hand painted with the kind of imagery that you might find on Plains Indian skins, and then on fabric later on. They draw herds of buffalo charging along. And so that's what this corset is covered with, this big, this nice red bow in the back. So it's pictorial histories that we're after with this. Okay, this one, there's actually another dress later on by this particular designer, whose name is Bethany Yellowtail, and she is a Crow Indian along with Northern Cheyenne. So if your your parents or grandparents married intertribally, then you have more than one heritage that you're dealing with. She works in Los Angeles, so far away from her homeland. And when she is home, though, she noticed all of these family heirlooms that have different kinds of natural materials sewn onto them. So in this particular one, there were elk teeth on the dresses that they have traditionally in the family. So she put the elk teeth, you see those white things that are up along the arm and across the chest? They're hand sewn on tulle fabric, as well as these big floral leather appliques that she's put onto the fabric. So this is fairly recent, 2014. So the elk teeth are the most revisiting aspect, whereas the rest of it looks very, very much like the kinds of things we'd see in other lines. Okay, this one is a blanket dress. If you know about Navajo and some other Hopi Indians of the Southwest, they learned how to weave several centuries ago, Navajo more recently, but they make these nice blankets that at first they wore, and then later they became very collectible as floor coverings, Navajo rugs. You've heard of Navajo rugs? Seen some of the designs? They have a very geometric designs, like this dress right here. So she's got these sort of step designs on the bottom. This is 1980s, although I would be hard pressed to date this as 1980s because it looks very contemporary. She's out of Phoenix, Arizona, which has a lot of native presence there. So just jumping off from that a little bit, this Navajo designer, weaver, works in Santa Fe, which is really it's a big area for showing your work if you're a creative artist in the Indian world. So he went to Peru, so he had to take an idea from Peru and bring it back and apply it to his own culture. He saw these serapes, because they don't wear this sort of thing in the southwestern U.S. This is more Mesoamerican and South American, the idea of two panels that are sewn together, woven and sewn together. So he did natural dyeing for all this. These are not dyes that you just buy in a packet. They're collected materials. Looks like cochineal. The color is sort of reddish, purplish. So anyway, his native step designs in here, and the T-shape is symbolizing Spider Woman. She was the one who the Navajo saved, taught them to do sort of crediting this goddess, I guess you'd say, or a mythological person. Then, just to show you a little bit more about these, Anna Rose is conserving a textile that her grandmother owned. That's an example of Southwest weaving. What do you know about this?
She bought it in, I think, the summer of 1945 in like northwestern Arizona. near the Clagotev trading post,
Okay.
and that's about it.
Okay, so it has the type of weave that this blanket is in. It has cotton warps, but the wool wefts are packing way down, so that's what you see on the surface. This is a tapestry weave, and it got a little worn, so you're reweaving the sections that were becoming loose. So this is the idea for that piece of work here. So this is a woman who lives quite close to us, North Dartmouth, Massachusetts. So we have around here a number of native tribes, the Wampanoag that are out of, and the Mashpee that are near the Cape. North Dartmouth is not that far from there, so she has learned how to make a number of traditional types of crafts that she updates for contemporary life. She has this blouse, which is kind of referencing some late 19th century styles that Native American women wore. And she has the moccasins, you can just see the moccasins in the corner of the image. And then she has wampum jewelry out of quahog shells. How many of you have heard of wampum? Only a few people. So what was that?
It's the inside of the shell, the purple.
Okay, it's the inside of the purple shell. If you went around here and collected a bunch of the shells on the beach and had little drills, you could make these things. I have a little bracelet that Dr. Ordonez gave me after we worked on a project. So this is what they look like. They're purple little cylindrical beads. I'm gonna walk over to the camera to show them to our distance students. Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so she has perfected working with this quahog shell. So we see it here. Her things are online. You can buy them online. I'm quite intrigued. I'm going to do that. And then earrings, big earrings like this. And this is pretty interesting. This is a woman who works in California on the La Jolla Indian Reservation, and she takes a well-known fashion item, like Christian Louboutin boots with the red soles, and then used these antique beads that she's sewed onto the boots in a design that references swallows against the blue skies with wide open skies that they have out in the Southwest. I think this was commissioned for the museum, but these are pretty fabulous. Okay, this is Isaac Mizrahi. What is his heritage? Anybody know?
Israeli?
Yeah, he's Jewish. He grew up in one of the suburbs of New York, the boroughs of New York. He's had, very interesting history. There's a movie called Unzipped that's about a collection that he did. He's done designs for Target. He's had, I think, his own Broadway one-man show and a whole bunch of other things. A very creative person. But in his really big time as a designer, he decided to do this totem pole dress. So this is on flannel, and it's embroidered. There's rather large stitches that are, it's heavy embroidery to make it cover the surface and create imagery that you can understand that it's supposed to be a totem pole. These are part of Northwest Coast culture, and the commentary on this is it very cleverly uses that to work with the female form. It curves out over the hips. It has the eyes right under the bust line. But what about this? Is it okay for him to use totem pole that is part of a culture that uses it in a traditional fashion? Somebody mentioned to me today that is it Abercrombie and Fitch?
Urban Outfitters?
Urban Outfitters has been sued because they are using Navajo designs without any kind of, they're calling them Navajo, but not working with the Navajo at all or providing any kind of financial retribution for that. So there's some questions out there about this. This one is pretty direct. This is not so direct, I think. This is Ralph Lauren. No, we know Ralph. He loves the Southwest. He loves Colorado. He loves cowboys. He loves country England looks and so on. So he's really kind of all over the place. But this one, it's more of an interpretation rather than a direct reference. So this could just as well be a Pendleton blanket that were designed in the Pendletons in Oregon. They make these blankets that were based on native design. This isn't such a direct reference as the totem pole dress. And then, question.
What kind of music was playing?
There wasn't anything that I remember, nothing at all. Of course, I'm into the visual, so. No, I don't remember any music at all. And then this outfit right here has been styled by Iris Apfel. Do we know who she is? Christine.
She was an interior designer, but is now a fashion icon.
Okay, she was an interior designer, and she was discovered, I guess, by people maybe 10 years ago. And she has this fantastic wardrobe. The Peabody Essex, I think, was the first to show her wardrobe. It went also to New York. And she loves to mix jewelry with these kind of iconic looking coats. So she has a big collection of Navajo jewelry that she uses with other kinds of other clothes. So this is a Van Couture blouse, but original Navajo jewelry that she's piling on top of that. So any photo you see of her, you recognize it's her because, well, first she's got these huge black glasses that have become a trademark, and then she's got an interesting coat on with just piles of jewelry, cuffs and bracelets and a lot of stuff around her neck, and pretty interesting. Dr. Hamill and I went to a movie about her last summer. It was quite fascinating how she got involved with it. And she has a really great eye. She's 94 years old. It's nice to be 94 and be a fashion icon, I think. That's diversity. Okay, Activator Gallery. So this is the group that is combining streetwear with a kind of message. So you walk in, it's yellow, so that's kind of a resting color. And there's a wall of white vans with one pair that's been painted. So these are painted by, I don't even know where this is. This is probably Northwest Coastal because the designs are like that. Anyway, he takes Sharpies and draws on, like a graffiti, onto the vans. He customizes these for people. So these are one-offs. So he's almost like a couture designer. He's doing these on request. His day job, I guess, is working with urban youth. He's out of Seattle, Washington. Then here's another from that same Northwest coast. You see those same designs that we see on the Haida and the Tlingit blankets and so on. This is called My Ancestors his real job is carver of masts and totem poles, but he wanted to have a suit that had some of that imagery on it. So he had these designs screened, or could be digitally printed at this point, on fabric and then made up into this suit. This is Bethany Yellowtail, the same one that had the elk teeth that were going up the side of the dress in the new visitors gallery. So she's got this dress that was, somebody asked her to do a dress that was a reward for a Kickstarter campaign. So she gave these away, I guess, as part of a Kickstarter campaign. But this is a photo print dress that has birds in the sky, denser on the bottom, and then a little bit of lighter weight fabric just around the hem. Really simple. This is a North Dakota tribe. Nakota, I guess. Anyway, a bandolier is this piece that goes around the shoulder and down and then up again. These were used a lot in the 19th century, and certain tribes, especially the Iroquois, were well known for beading these and selling them as souvenirs. So anyway, she's creating these as wearable art, and she considers her work as her ancestors speaking of determination and perseverance, even though Native Americans have been marginalized in American culture and forced onto reservations, because pretty much that's what we did. We came in, especially in this area, we gave them diseases which they didn't recover from, so something like 80% of the tribe right around here died. And then there were a lot of conflicts for another 75 years. And then the Great Swap, right down here, right, like 2 miles from campus, where the Kingston Railroad Station is, just down from there, there was a major massacre of Wampanoag and other tribes that were fighting the colonists when they were first here. So it's, it's around this area as well. It's being forced onto reservations and being marginalized. Okay, so now we get to the T-shirt, of course, the speaking T-shirt. This is the designer right there, Jared Yazzie. He's a Navajo. He puts sort of provocative phrases on his black T-shirts. Native Americans discovered Columbus. He's using these as, there's a whole series of things that were designed by him. And this too, here we see a zipped up mouth with feather headband. Now this is nice. We have Tonto and the Lone Ranger. Do you know this show? Nobody? We're dating ourselves if you know who Tonto and the Lone Ranger. Who is this white cowboy, the Lone Ranger, with Tonto, his faithful Indian sidekick, who had lots of adventures in the Southwest. Anyway, it's a pop culture image, so he's using these as beadwork on bracelets, just to make a statement about Native Americans and pop culture.
Hey Linda, did they have a lot of T-shirts or just a couple?
They had more. They
Okay,
were hard to photograph.
I remember the one that it says the original Homeland Security.
Okay.
It's an image of a Native American
Oh,
on the front of some really good T-shirt.
okay. See, they were hanging up behind.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And this is a friend styled this outfit for another friend who's an artist, and he was going to represent he's going to the opening where his work was represented. So he created some pictorial imagery for the jacket, and then he has beaded moccasins on. So he's got quite a few, several references to his ancestry in this outfit. Okay, so these are the provocateurs. They're very experimental. They're one of a kind. Each one of the designs has its own little vignette right there, so not mixed with other things. So, and there weren't quite as many then, so we'll go through some. This is a collaboration, two brothers, Navajo and Pueblo, who made this headdress, which goes all over this. They're calling it a postmodern boa. The dress is by Consuelo Pascual, who's Navajo, and Maya. So Maya are Native Americans, but they're from Mexico and Central America area. But they're all working in New Mexico. And these are new moccasins, modern day moccasins. He works in Ottawa, Canada, and calling these reaction shoes. His line is reaction. And he uses recycled computer parts, the wires from computers, and add them on the back along with beading on the front. These aren't necessarily, neither the headdress or these which you actually wear, but it's using fashion as a statement, an artistic statement. I think this is fabulous. This is a Haida woman, Lisa Telford, who was out of Everett, Washington. And this dress is called Polka Haida, based on Pocahontas. We know the Pocahontas story. When did the Disney version come out? 98? Something like that. I think there's more recent than that, but anyway, it's supposed to go after the Pocahontas idea. So it's cedar bark made into a dress. And it has some imitation leather trim. And the background here is cedar trees. And this is before Karl Lagerfeld did wood shaving dresses at the last couture show in January. So she's very original. We just forget cedar bark. And this is Shosho Esquiro, who's out of Vancouver, and this dress is, I don't know how to pronounce this, but it means the sound of wings in flight, which honors loved ones who've departed. So the whole skirt is, there's all these little projections that come out that when you moved would make the sounds of wings in flight. I did not know about this, but apparently this still happens every year. In Mohawk territory, which is northern eastern part, where are the Mohawks? They're part of New York, I think. Anyway, in 1794 there was a treaty where every year the whites have to give the Iroquois some fabric. At first it was calico, but now it's muslin. And they still do it every year. So she made a treaty shirt using some of the fabric with words from the treaty in it. These do resemble the shirts that were worn after Native Americans were given cloth. And then they recreated a wampum belt, which is on the neck. was used as money in early days. This is an interesting dress that symbolizes the exploitation of native lands for oil and gas without really giving them much thought about it. We have some bison in the background who are dripping oil, and then the dress is vinyl and plastic beads with the same color as the oil. Called buffalo dress, but changing the landscape because of the natural resources that are there that help us with our global warming. Here's a Louis Vuitton quiver. Quivers with arrows being hunting tools that Native Americans use, but we can borrow the Louis Vuitton logo there and put it on the quiver. This designer, Kent Mumphin, has an alter ego that he uses to design things. His name is Mischief, or Mischief. Okay, so these weren't all the pieces that were in the show, but most of the ones that really stood out. And then there was this interactive gallery that was right in the middle. So experience design, you could add your name to this little hoop skirt over here. You could, if you're a little girl, play around with the fabrics and then look at some of the books that were on the background. Even some of these were, there was a book there that is used for courses like TMD 224, the meanings of dress. That was pretty interesting. Plus fashion magazines and technical books. It was kind of interesting for kids to go in there. There were a lot of kids in the gallery when I was there. Okay, so I want to play a little clip with the curator. But first, just to say that this is going to travel to Portland, Oregon, where it's going to reach people who were involved in this show, who live in Washington and Vancouver and so on. Then go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then to New York. So it's going to be around for a while. You might be able to see it too.
successful fashion brand.
He is really celebrated for bringing native fashion to a wider mainstream public. He was selling his line internationally, he was selling it at Saxon Avenue and Neiman Marcus. He was really remarkable, and he did this during a time when minorities were totally segregated.
Generations of maverick designers followed, many directly trained by Lloyd New, including Patricia Michaels, a Project Runway contestant whose fashion references water, a precious commodity in her native Southwest. Wendy Ponca models her influences in Mylar.
Mylar evokes the sky people, her ancestors who came from the stars. It is this crinkly auditory reminder, when worn, of this connection to her roots.
There are no roots, though, in this Ralph Lauren design. Same with Isaac Mizrahi, two designers which the show provocatively points out have only appropriated Native American heritage. Did you have debate about whether to include those pieces in this show?
Yes, in fact, we did have a lot of internal dialogue, but in the end, we decided we wanted to open this conversation.
There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I have spent years and years and years practicing painting on high, practicing forward, recapturing native dye techniques and really develop a next level and make those all together and come up with something that's quality work.
It's a passion that younger designers have used with a flourish and an edge. Seen here in designer Jared Yazzie t-shirt.
He really makes you think about history and the truths and mistruths that we've been fed as a general public.
Lisa Telford of the Haida tribe tackles the Disney-fied Pocahontas mythology in a red cedar bark dress she's titled Pocahada. And Kent Monkman, otherwise known by his drag alter ego, Miss Chief, plays with the quiver, a Native American icon.
It is decorated entirely with Louis Vuitton exhibits. So you see this LV painted all over the quiver. Nothing but the best for Miss Jean.
And like many of the designers here, a very sharp point of view.
Okay, so that's it for today. Any questions or directions to Salem? Nothing?